My name is Danielle, and this is Trying Matters. If you're looking for a no BS type podcast, this is it. I'm here to help make life fun and interesting and learn right alongside you how to be brave enough to go against the grain. Here, we'll be talking about real challenges and fears that are holding us women back from living our lives to the fullest. So let's shake things up a bit and actually start trying. Hello! Welcome back to Trying Matters, or welcome in if this is your first time. It is episode 22, and today we are talking about our health. Because honestly, I've talked a little bit about this before, and it's something I'm super passionate about. I feel like us women, we don't know enough about our health. And this wasn't something that I really thought was all that significant until I got into like my now later 20s. And I realized that women that are older than me don't necessarily know more about their bodies than I do. Women who are younger than me can know more about their bodies than I do. And they're like, there's that whole like, oh, older the wiser. Not necessarily, because I just feel like there's so many things going on in our bodies as women that it's hard for us to truly get the full picture and the grasp of everything that's going on. And like hormones, just hormones. Now, I do want to say, like, disclaimer, I am going to be talking about stuff from the lens of my personal experience, trainers that I've heard talk about some of these things, blogs that I've read. So take all this stuff with a grain of salt, but the whole purpose behind this episode is to just kind of get you digging into like, I wonder, or to just be curious about your health and how your body works as a woman in general. So let's get started. This is actually all stemming from, just to give you guys a little bit of background, because on this podcast, I like to talk about things that are relevant to what's going on in my life or somebody that I am very close to in their life. So a few weeks ago, I recorded an episode and I was talking about doing the hard things. And one of the things that I brought up was me getting off of the birth control pill. Now, obviously, like that makes sense with that episode because the decision to get off of a birth control pill was not an easy decision. There were all kinds of factors that went into it that made it difficult. One being societal norm and what people were saying when I told them that I wanted to get off of it. Two being, okay, now I have to like really pay attention to my body, and that's scary. But also twofold with that, like it was exciting to me. I was excited to learn about my body. And then there was the what if, like, what if I get off of this and, I don't know what to expect. What if, the day comes where I try to have a kid and I can't get pregnant because I've been on it for so long? Or what if my menstrual cycle is just like unbearable and I want to get back on it? Or what if I don't keep track of my cycle like I intend to, and then things just go haywire and I feel like I've lost control and I'm not really in tune with my body? So difficult decision to be made, but I made the decision. And all of the rest of what's coming kind of stems from that for me. So this past week, I've been in like, this may be TMI, but we're all girls here. I've been in my phase of ovulation, which I was surprised that my body kind of kicked into that like so quickly, because the things that I was reading on like medical blogs and just resources about getting off of birth control to get your cycle back into like regulation, a lot of times it takes longer than that. So I by no means think that this is my body is completely regulated like 2 weeks into being off of it. I don't think that at all. But I was surprised that, I've fallen into a period of ovulation already. And maybe that's just, again, me not understanding how all of this works because of the lack of knowledge that I feel we get as women, unless you go and do your homework. So me digging and doing my homework helped me figure all of that out. And in that last episode where I talked about the birth control decision and hard decisions, I did reference cycle tracking as natural family planning and a few other resources that I can also link in the show notes below if you guys want some more info on that. But I realized like I was so scared to get off of birth control, and I didn't even realize how good I would feel now that I'm allowing my body to do what it naturally does. And this is really super ironic because at the time that I'm recording this, like yesterday, I had a great day, like feeling great. My body, I just felt like I had a lot of energy. And like that makes sense when you're in a period of when you're in your cycle and you're ovulating, you have a lot of energy. You can do things like hard hit workouts. You just feel good. It's what our bodies naturally do. So I had like a really good workout. And then last night, this is obviously a few days before that I'm recording this, that you guys are listening. But last night I had an awful night. Just so happened, like I almost passed out and had this like stomach cramping situation going on. But that's neither here nor there. I just think it's funny that I was like, oh, I feel really good today in my workout. I had so much energy and today was just such a good day, like feeling in my body, like it felt good. And then like that night, like I got no sleep. I felt awful. But just to goes to show you, like, you're not always going to feel good, even when you think you're feeling your best. That was just a side note. But I didn't realize how good I would feel allowing my body to do what it naturally does and like go into its period of ovulation and then like the luteal phase and all of that stuff. Now, I'm still learning about all of that because obviously I learned about that in biology when I was like a freshman in high school. But if you don't take an anatomy class past that, like, do you really understand what's going on? Or you don't have a medical condition that forces you to really read into your body? Do you really know what's going on? Are you paying attention to how you feel? Not even necessarily in a state of, hormonal birth control or none, but just in general, how are you feeling? Like, how is your level of energy? How is your mood? How are your attitudes towards, things not going the right way in your mind the right way? And like dealing with conflicts and like just in general, how is your overall health and well-being? And like I said, this is something that I've been passionate about for a while. I come from a family of, and a lot of people probably can relate to this. Snaps if this is you. Just a family of like, we want to be healthier, but we don't really know how. And I think that's always been something in the back of my mind that I'm like, I want to be healthier. I want to make good decisions. I want to feel good. I want to look good, all those things, but I don't know how. And there's all kinds of like fad diets out there. Now there's like injections and all of that. And it's just like, what is the truth? What is the truth? And how do we tease out what's a good idea versus what is a bad idea? And what I've learned over the going on like 5 years or so that I've started to really dive into my health, there's a lot of things. And one of the main things is like, you can't change everything all at once. That was the first big lesson that I had to that I had to learn, and that I had to make the choice to live a healthier lifestyle, mind and body. So, all of this to say, like, these are some of the things that I've learned throughout my health journey. And like getting off of birth control is now showing me that there's a whole nother level of health that is available to me that I've unlocked. And it may be challenging, but like just having that one day of feeling super great. I mean, I've felt super great pretty much this whole week in this state of ovulation. And I didn't even know that was possible. I've also felt like decreased anxiety and like I've been a little bit more go with the flow. And maybe that's coincidental. Maybe that's getting off of the birth control. I can't say whether or not, but I think it's a very interesting coincidence that a week later or 2 weeks later, I'm in a state of ovulation where I'm supposed to be feeling my best based off of like science. And my husband was out of town for a week, got postponed on getting home. Normally, I would have lost my shit, y'all, and I did not. Coincidence? Perhaps. Maybe it's not a coincidence though. So that's my little 2 cents about the birth control thing and letting your body do like naturally what it does. Unless you have like a hormone imbalance and you're using it for a medical purpose, like my ladies who are using it for a reason that's not like you have to be on this because your hormones aren't regulated and da 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 da. If you're just doing it for, let's say, just the reason to not get pregnant, I'm not gonna say like don't be on it, because like you have to be ready to make this decision, um, because it's not just like, oh yeah, I'll just get off of it and like whatever. But I do encourage you to kind of think about it, because I had heard that there were benefits to it, but now I'm starting to feel the benefits. And now I'm going to get into, because I need to get off this soapbox. I'm just super excited about it. I'm super excited to learn about my body. And I hope you guys are interested and excited to kind of maybe take that route to, even if it's not something like getting off of a birth control, maybe it's just wanting to feel better and have more energy in general, and like taking the steps towards that. So that's kind of my gateway and segue, I guess, to the rest of the stuff that I've learned throughout, my 4 to 5 years on a health and wellness journey. So like I said, the first thing is like, no, it's not easy. And we've talked about that so many times on this podcast. Trying matters. I got my sign up here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, trying matters. If you think you're going to change your lifestyle in a week, a month, even a year to be like this ideal, like in your mind, perfect, which again, we've talked about here, perfect does not exist. We are humans, not robots. We have lots of factors going into our day to day. Life is a roller coaster, but in order for you to get there, you have to try. And it's not going to be easy, but the steps are usually simple. And it's not something that changes all at once, and you really shouldn't do a whole lot all at once. I was telling one of my patients today, actually, baby steps. Um, if you don't know this, if you haven't listened to the podcast, I'm a speech language pathologist. I work in a hospital, and today I was working with one of my stroke patients, and she has a language disorder, and she can't get what she's thinking out because there was a blockage of the blood flow, and now we have to do therapy to improve that blockage, to reform those neural pathways that were interrupted, so that she can be more fluent in her conversation and not get as frustrated. But the baby steps are what's going to get her there, and the baby steps are what's going to get you to whatever goal you're looking at. In this episode, of course, we're talking about living a healthier lifestyle. So that's one thing that I want you to keep in mind as you listen to the rest of this podcast, and just anytime you're wanting to make a change in your life. Baby steps. Consistency is always key. We don't have to do the whole big shebang all at once. So, one of the things that I've learned has been super important in my health journey is sleep. And I'm sure if you've dove into any kind of health blogs or listening to people on TikTok or whatever you're doing to try and like improve your health and your knowledge on it, sleep is always something that they talk about, because that is our time for rest and rejuvenation and rest and digest and all of those things to get us ready for another day. So our bodies are amazing, first off. Like, that is key right there. If you think of your body as just, this thing, or it's just, it's part of me, but yeah, but like this body carries you throughout the day. And at the end of the day, you're tired. You need to repay your body by getting good sleep. And some of the things that I've learned about sleep that are very important, I'm just going to share a few of these with you guys. And this, like I said, comes from trainers and a sleep-in service that I did, or that I was a part of. I didn't do it, but I listened to it. And so on and so forth. So again, I'm not quoting any specific sources, but I've heard this many times, many places from credible people. So first thing, consistent wake up time and consistent bedtime. more consistent you are with that, the better sleep you're going to get. Your body's going to kind of like get into this routine. And like, it's better than, I wake up at 5 a.m. today and then I don't have to go to work tomorrow. So I'm going to sleep until 8 o'clock. Or I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock tonight, but I'm going to bed at midnight the next night. If we're constantly changing, our bodies can't get into a rhythm. And when they're disrupted in their rhythm, then, things just kind of get out of whack. So I encourage you to try and set a bedtime. I like to go to bed between 10 and 11, and then I wake up at 7. And sometimes it's a little bit before 7 because my body has grown used to like a 6:57-ish, which 10 minutes before, not a big deal. We go through cycles in our sleep. And I'm sure you guys probably know this. Even if you don't, surprise, we go through cycles in our sleep. So if you keep snoozing, your body can't figure out that cycle too. So another thing is try not to snooze. When your alarm goes off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off out of bed. Now, am I saying that I do this every day? No, I do not. But now I have a dog. Y'all want to hold to some accountability? Get yourself a pet that needs to go outside in the morning. You'll be amazed at how much more consistency you have in your life because they are like, nah, if you don't come get me now, you're going to have to clean up an accident or you're going to have to sit here and listen to me bark and cry. And first thing in the morning, like, that ain't what I want to wake up to. So like she barks, she cries. My body knows it's 7:50 6:50 or 7 in the morning. Get your booty up, girl, because if not, you going to piss her off and then she going to pee-pee in her bed and then you going to have to clean it. You got more stuff to do. So just a little tip, get a pet. It'll help with your consistency. It's kind of an expensive resource for accountability, but so don't snooze. Your body it needs like 2 hours to go through that next cycle. So you're just putting yourself into a bad position to be even sleepier. And then you're out of rhythm again. So like if you can avoid it, avoid it. Just as much as that bed is super comfy, if you know you can lay there and like not fall back asleep, like chill in your bed a little bit, sure. But like get the sun. You want to look at the sun. The sun will wake you up. That's another thing that I've learned is like, if you're sleepy, go not look directly at the sun. Please, Lord, no, don't do that. But like, go out into the sunshine. The sun like helps regulate us as well. No screens in bed. That's another one. And that one I have pretty much stuck to for a while now. Every now and then I break my own rule, but not having screen time like 30 minutes before and not at all in bed is a really good habit to get into because the screens are just like keeping our brain active. And if our brain is active, then we can't shut it down to go to sleep. And if you're anything like me, again, snaps, when I get in bed, my brain starts running like, oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I need to remember to do this. And like, if I don't try to wind down, then I'm going to get in bed and I'm going to be tossing and turning thinking. And then I may or may not grab my phone. I typically don't, but I know a lot of people do. They're like, oh, can't sleep. Let me just scroll on social media real quick. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. For a lot of reasons. But, if we're just thinking about like the screen time situation, like that right there is, and if I wake up in the middle of the night, like I try not to look at a clock or anything because I'm like, I don't want to know what time it is because I'm going to be upset thinking about how many hours I'm going to be losing because now I have to fall back asleep and da-da-da. Like, I don't try to look at anything. But taking the screens away, bed needs to be associated, like bedtime and bed need to be associated together. If you repeatedly do things other than sleep in your bed, other than like, sexy time, like obviously that can happen in there. But like if you're doing homework in your bed, if you're in school or like you're planning or working or sitting in your bed doing that, then your brain is going to start associating bed with work or bed with studying or bed with screen time or whatever it may be. So then it's going to be, again, a setback in you trying to calm yourself down and to get into that mind of sleep. Another thing that's been really good for me, and I know a lot of people who do this, a sound machine. and making your room as dark as possible. So my friends make fun of me. Oh gosh. Um, my friends make fun of me because I wear a sleep mask and I also wear like a bonnet on my head so that my hair doesn't look cuckoo when I wake up in the morning. If you are a diva like me, snaps, you get it. I look like a pilot about to take off because I have my bonnet and then my little sleep mask, but I sleep so much better when I have the darkness. Again, that sunlight coming through my window, even though I have like a heavier curtain, it's gonna wake me up. Or like the moonlight coming through my window or light in another room, like nah, I wear that, cover my eyes. I don't have a sound machine necessarily, but I have I call it my allergy machine. I cannot think of what that thing is called. But the thing that you use when you have allergies, air purifier. That's what it is. I use an air purifier, and that sound with the sound of the fan, it's kind of like that white noise, or a lot of people like to use brown noise. Brown noise, I think, is calmer, has a more efficient calming effect. Is that the words I'm looking for? Than white noise. That's me personally. I know a few other people who are like, white noise scares me. And I'm like, compared to brown noise, absolutely. So maybe try brown noise. And another thing that I think is a good tip that has helped me is doing some kind of like breath work or stretching before I go to bed to release the tension of the day. Get your breathing to calm you down. Like when we tap into those like slow down and calming, we tap into that like that part of our nervous system. I don't remember if it's parasympathetic or sympathetic. I don't remember. But the one that calms us down. We want to be in a state of relaxation and calm before we go to bed. And sleep at that point will be better. And then we can have more energy and be better throughout the day. So, and you want to get like 7 to 9 hours. I know a lot of people don't do that, especially moms, kids. Like, I know y'all are lucky if y'all get like 5 hours of sleep, especially if you're a working mom. Like, I know that's tough. But that's just some things to think about. And another one, now I forgot this one. Not drinking caffeine past like 2 o'clock was recommended too. I don't do that because I work out in the afternoons. So I like to drink caffeine when I'm about to do my workout. So I drink my pre-workout stuff, which isn't a ton of caffeine. I think it's like 100 milligrams, which don't ask me about a lot of caffeine versus not a lot of caffeine. I'm not the expert on caffeine. I just know that you're not supposed to have a lot of it because that will mess with your hormones too. So decrease your amount of caffeine in general. That's a fun tip that I've learned. But I drink my caffeine before I do my workout, and like I work out anywhere between like 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock just because my days are unpredictable and my schedule is relatively set, but it gets to be unpredictable sometimes, especially now that I have a puppy. So I don't necessarily follow that one. But my point being with all of that is like, obviously, I gave you a lot of different tips for improving your sleep. You don't have to follow all of them. You can pick one and kind of start from there. And if you start to see improvements, awesome. Then you can try adding another one and so on and so on. Because remember, like we said, baby steps, baby steps. So another thing that I've learned about just my health in general, and again, y'all have heard me talk about this a lot, good nutritious food. Because like I said, our bodies are carrying us throughout the day. And the more that I dig into, and I know this is kind of like a big thing right now, or maybe that's just the side of social media that I'm on, like I get all kinds of ads for like food delivery services and different diets and all that kind of stuff. And what I've done has worked for me. And you kind of have to figure out what works for you. But the constants that I have found when it comes to fueling my body are planning ahead of time and finding resources that are helpful to you when it comes to like meal prepping and looking for healthy recipes and things like that. So, and having kind of like a set way that your meals kind of go. So like a pattern in your meals. For example, like I try to eat 4 servings of vegetables a day. I try to eat 2 servings of fruit a day, 2 servings of carbs, 4 servings of protein. Um, I like to do that because when I started learning about my health, there was some programs that I was following, and you guys have heard me talk about Body, it used to be called Beachbody. I follow their nutrition programs, and they have worked very well for me because it gives me a structure. I need some kind of structure. The other structure that they have to offer, and this is not me like plugging them, this is just what I know and what has worked for me, and I know a lot of people who it's worked for. Um, I think it's like the 2 bunnies. So like drinking water first, veggies most. I forget what the other ones are, but like if you're somebody who doesn't like to plan and have a lot of structure, like maybe that'll work for you. Like let me just focus on eating a vegetable with every meal, or let me focus on eating some carbs that are like more fiber filled rather than, empty carbs. Like let's go for the rice, the potatoes, the whole grain, the oats, that kind of stuff, rather than like bread and chips and pasta and things like that. Like obviously have those things in moderation, but if you just fix like not fix, I'm going to say, if you just make that one little change of having some kind of pattern, then it'll be a little bit easier for you to kind of be aware of what you're putting in your body. And you can kind of pay more attention to, like, okay, I made this one change with, cutting out those empty carbs and having the more fiber filled carbs. How am I feeling? Am I feeling better, or am I feeling about the same? Okay, maybe I'll keep doing that. And now let me try making sure that I get, more plant proteins if that's something you're into. Um, One thing at a time, like I always say, but fuel your body for what you're going to be doing. What you put in is going to make a difference in your energy, and it's going to make a difference in how you feel overall. And then of course, your overall health. So, having that pattern for what your meals are going to be like, and planning. I know planning is kind of a pain in the butt, but it doesn't need to be complicated. That was one thing that I had to learn, is keep it simple. Keep it simple. Um there are foods and meals that I'm sure you've grown up with that you absolutely love. For me, that was red beans and rice. I wanted to figure out how to incorporate red beans and rice into my pattern of, I eat a vegetable every meal, or I'm going to try to eat a vegetable every meal, because honestly, like, I don't stick to this to a T all the time. Obviously, that's unrealistic for us to be, boom, 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 boom. You can be if you actively work at it and you make it a priority and you work hard at it. But like, if you don't do it every single day, it's okay. Um, so like my red beans and rice, I had to figure out how that fit within my pattern. So if I'm going to eat red beans and rice, I'm going to have my red beans and rice, but I'm going to eat a vegetable as a side. I'm going to have a combo of the two. That way I'm getting those good nutrients from the red beans and the rice, but I'm also getting good nutrients from more vegetables, because I need more vegetables in my life. So you can find what works for you. And that was something simple. Like, okay, I'm going to eat my red beans and rice. Let me just steam a quick bag of broccoli real quick. Eat some broccoli with it instead of eating a piece of bread. Um, it doesn't need to be complicated, but it does take time for you to sit down and plan. So what I've kind of noticed about my planning, because I like a lot of variety. Now, if you are somebody who can eat the same thing every day, every week, props to you. That is not me. I get tired of eating something by the time I've eaten it the second time in one week, and I need something else. So meal planning does get kind of complicated for me. If that's you, you get it. Chat with me, because we're on the same page here, and I know it can be hard. But what I've done is I take 30 minutes to an hour. I know that sometimes is a lot for some people, but 30 minutes to an hour to look up recipes, plan out my meals, and make my grocery list. When you think about it, that is like, that's 3 things you're doing within that 30 minute to an hour period. Um, it helps you stay on track with what you are wanting to do. If you want to fuel your body and you want to feel really good, planning is key. And even though it's a pain in the butt, in the moment, you may not have that gratification, but at the end of the week, when you've stuck to your goal of putting in good, nutritious food in your body, you're going to have that delayed gratification. You're going to be like, yes, I fucking did that shit. So look up recipes on Pinterest. Find recipes on Instagram or TikTok. Like, there are healthy recipes out there, and you can get creative with it. My thing is, if it takes me more than like 30 minutes to prepare, I don't want to do it. And that's the other thing. Set aside like an hour. If you're somebody who works like Monday through Friday, for example, set aside an hour to plan your meals and your grocery list. Go to the grocery or do a grocery pickup or delivery, whatever works for you. And then about an hour to prep some of your meals. Like, you don't have to do all of them. If you know you're going to have time later in the week to do some more, like say you only cook your lunches. Like this week, I prepared 2 of my breakfasts and all of my lunches for the week. I did that yesterday on my day off, and like, I'm set for the rest of the week. I know exactly what I'm eating, and I'm going to stick to it because it's in there, and I don't like when food goes bad and I have to throw it away because that's money and time that I'm wasting. You get it. If you do, you get it. You snap. Okay. So plan. So that's like what? 3 hours out of a given weekend, maybe, to go plan, grocery shop, and then prep. And keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. And it doesn't need to be boring either. That's why I say, like, look at Pinterest, look at TikTok, look at Instagram, and find things that you like and make a healthier version of it. Like, I found a healthy beef and broccoli recipe that I am making like almost every week because it's so good. And I found it on Instagram. Like, and another good thing, again, this is not me plugging them because I don't get anything out of this. I'm not a partner with them anymore. But like, Body has nutrition stuff and like recipes and all of that, but you can access some of those on the internet too. So like, just do your research, be resourceful. If that is a goal of yours to feel better, the more you fuel yourself with good stuff, the better your energy is and the better you're going to feel, just like with the sleep. So that's my 2 cents on tips for eating right. Look at the ingredients too. That's the other thing. Like, if it's got a lot of sugar, if it's got a ton of sodium, there are some things that may look like they are healthy based off of the packaging, and it'll say things like non-GMO and organic, and then you look at the back and it's like 30 grams of added sugar, and you're like, oh no, baby, that is not healthy for me. Like, let's do something else. Just be aware of it. And again, I will say, you don't need to do all of this. If you plan out your meals for a week and you stick to them, even if they're not like the healthiest by everyone's standards, at least you hit that goal of like, I planned, I got the groceries, I made the food, and I didn't spend money on food this week outside of my grocery run. That's a win. And you're taking the step in the right direction for getting you to feeling better, because eating out, they put so much bad stuff in there. And I am a victim of it. DoorDash is like the bane of my existence, y'all. Oh my gosh. If I don't know what I want, like, DoorDash. But the problem with that, let me just say, this is a side note. I have eaten out so much since meeting my now husband. I did not eat out that much when I was in college, in college, maybe close, but like growing up, like, we did not eat out ever. We always had home cooked meals. And that was when I started to like really gain weight in college. I mean, in the drinking, you know, if y'all didn't know this, I partied hard in college. Alcohol, no bueno for feeling good and being healthy. So my dog was chewing on my sweater. I need to get that from her. So eating out so much has made me like have a decreased desire for certain things because I have access to everything at my fingertips and now I'm just kind of like, eh. So I highly recommend avoiding eating out as much as you can because it's just no bueno. At the end of the day, it just isn't. And like I said, we do it. We do it multiple times a week. We're trying to get away from it. It is difficult because the convenience is there. But that's the good thing about the 3 hours. And it may be less than that, y'all. I'm saying 3 hours, but like sometimes it takes me only 30 minutes to plan and like 40 minutes to prep. In the grocery store, I linger in there. So that always takes me a little while. I love going to the grocery store. But make it exciting, make it fun, keep it simple. And if you prepare ahead of time, you're not going to need to do that convenience of eating out. So fuel your body, because you're going to feel good. And that's what this is all about, our health, feeling good. The other thing, again, y'all have talked about this so many times, but movement. Okay, if you know me, I work out like 4 to 5 times a week. I do at-home workouts through, you guessed it, Body. Again, not a plug for them, but that is how I got into my routine. I needed somebody to tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it, because I did not know how to work out. If you were anything like me, snaps, because who teaches us how to work out? Unless you were in sports, like, hello, I did not know weight safety. I did not know what type of exercise to do to get me weight loss or to get me tone or to get me like functionally moving when I'm at home or like to improve my mobility or flexibility. I didn't know any of that. The beauty of having somebody to guide you, like using something like Body or using something like Peloton or any kind of trainer that you like have in person, whatever it may be, you take all of the guesswork out of it and you can just go do your little 20 to 40 minutes to an hour, however long you want to do, and voila, it's easy. You're done. And the thing that I have learned too is the more you do it, the better you feel and you want to do it more. Because when I first started like this whole health journey, I wanted to eat healthy, but I didn't want to put in the work. I wanted to have a healthier body and I wanted to love how I felt when I looked at myself, but I didn't want to do the work initially. So I started off with literally 20 minutes a day for like 3 days a week. And that was it. Adding 20 minutes of movement got me into the habit. So I've talked about this so many times, y'all. This baby steps, and I'm going to keep saying it till I'm probably purple in the face, blue in the face, dead, whatever you want to say. Movement matters. It just works. Trying matters, movement matters. It's the same thing. You have to move. Even if it just means like, okay, instead of parking close, I'm parking far away and I'm going to walk. Now, in this Louisiana heat, if you were here, snaps, it's awful and deadly. Be careful, drink lots of water. But going for a walk around your neighborhood with your dog, taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator from time to time, just moving more because you're burning calories. Your body's carrying you throughout the day, like we talked about. So like, if you are wanting to feel better, you need to move. And the trainer that I work out with, he's my absolute favorite. Y'all have heard me talk about him. Wallace Caesar. He is my absolute favorite. He has got me passionate about all of this to another level. But he said, if you can stand up, you can lose weight. And it's true because all you have to do is change a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. It's that whole concept of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You're not trying to eat the whole dang elephant at one time. If you do 5 minutes of movement for a week, 3 days a week. Okay, we've done 5 minutes. Next week, let's do 10. Now we've done 10 minutes of movement. And I don't care what the movement is. You can have a freaking dance party for 10 minutes straight for all I care. Hell, that's what I would do. Snaps if that's you too. Okay, dance party for 10 whole minutes. 3 times a week for 1 week. Let's see how you get from there. Okay, you've had fun with your dance parties. Now you want to go to a Zumba class? Hell yeah, let's go to a Zumba class. But it's a spiral in a good way. It's a spiral effect. It's the domino effect. If you have movement, you're gonna want more movement. Your body is going to crave it, and you're gonna feel better. You're gonna have that energy. Like that workout that I did the other day, like in this phase of ovulation, like I've done a HIIT workout before, but when I was doing that HIIT workout, there was another level of motivation and energy coming through to it. And I wanted to keep pushing harder and harder and harder. And like that got me excited for my next day to work out, because I had that evidence that I enjoyed this. I got so much energy out of it. And if I can just keep doing this, I'm going to continue to love it. I'm going to continue to crave it. And I'm going to be going in the right direction of living that healthier life. Now, it is important to, not do HIIT workouts all the time. Let me throw that in there. As women, since we're talking about women's health, there is like ovulation is the best time for you to do a HIIT workout versus, like when you're on your period, you should be just taking it easy. I saw this one thing on, I don't know if it was Instagram or what. Not that I'm going to use them as like my resource here, but I saw something and it was like the phases of a women's cycle and the types of exercises that they should do. That's something that's worth looking into, because, we go through this cycle and these phases throughout every month. It's important to pay attention to how your body feels. If your body feels whooped and it's telling you, hey, you need to rest, you need to listen to it. Because again, another thing that I have problems with, and if you feel like you're an overachiever sometimes, you can relate to this, snaps. On my weeks where I know I need to rest, sometimes I don't want to. I'm like, no, you need to keep going. Like, movement is medicine, da da da. Like, okay, movement is medicine, but also you need to give your body that optimal rest time, because that's when we rejuvenate and we recover and we recoup for, the next phase where we're like, okay, I have more energy. Let me do more. Listen to your body. Learn what it's telling you. And through doing these things like getting good sleep, eating better, movement, or, figuring out what your hormones are doing and paying attention to the signs that your body's giving you, you become more in tune to it, and you can, shift. Oh, okay, well, I noticed this is happening. Last time this happening, I really benefited from this. And so on and so on. You'll feel better. You'll be able to understand yourself better, and your health will be better because of that, because you're putting in the time to understand. Last thing, we talked about being in that calm state. One of the things that I've heard, and I want to say it was my trainer who said this, or maybe it was, I think there's this guy on Instagram who is all about like debunking. I cannot think of his name, but I'll put it in the show notes once I find it. He like debunks all of the like myths about health. And again, it's social media, so take it with a grain of salt. But one of the things he said was like stress is one of the main health risks that we have, basically. Like, sure, eating bad is one that's bad for you, or not exercising is one that's bad for you. But if you don't manage your stress well and you stay in a constant state of anxiety and stress or whatever, that is one of the worst things for you. You're constantly in that state of like fight or flight. Our bodies can't stay at that for a sustained amount of time. Like, especially us as women, like it's really bad when we go through all of these phases. And, as women, we take on a lot. We multitask. We are the ones that kind of run households or run offices, and like we're badasses. But also, if we don't manage our stress with all of the things that we have to do, or all of the tasks that we have throughout a day, then that's going to be super detrimental. And that's how things like hormones get all out of whack, and your energy drains too. Like, it's not just the food, the movement, the sleep. All of those things are very important, but so is your mental state. And if we're not taking care of our brain, then we're not going to have the desire to do that. Mental health is so important. I talked about this a few weeks ago too, how I said I was going to start going back to therapy. I am officially set up. I would just like to say, if you listen to that episode, I did it. I have an appointment this week to go to my very first therapy session. I used to go to therapy and I stopped. Me and the therapist, we weren't getting anywhere. So, finding a good therapist is important if you're going to work on your mental health, but you can do little things for your mental health throughout your day. One thing that we talked about is in previous episodes that I'll mention here again is how you speak to yourself. If you are constantly saying like, oh, you're ugly, oh, you're fat, oh, you never do anything right, you need to be more like this person and whatever. If you have this just awful talk to yourself, I want you to be aware of that. And this, if you really want to hear more about that, listen to last week's episode where I really dive into that. It's important for us to build our confidence in ourselves, build our trust in ourselves. If we don't hold true to what we make promises for, we're just saying like, you don't matter. You don't matter. And then you don't trust yourself. And then you're not going to hold to and follow through on what your goals are for yourself. And you're going to keep in this pattern of this cycle and just awful. It's not going to get better. It all starts with this brain. I should have started with that to the beginning, but like, we need to learn how to de-stress in a way that is beneficial to us. For me, that is playing with my puppy, having a dance party, going for a walk, drinking my Energize, which I have over here with me. It is hanging out with my husband and my little sisters and my older sister when I get the chance to, seeing my friends, going to the beach. It's all those little things. If we do more of those things, we're going to have more joy in our life. Our mental state is going to be better, and we'll have that energy and that level of health and wellness that we are looking for. That mindset is so, 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 so important. Little bits at a time, little bits of growth and kindness to yourself. And if you ever find yourself speaking ill to yourself, just remember, like, would I tell my best friend this? Or would I say this to my sister or my brother or my mom? If you are saying those things to yourself and you would say it to somebody else and it's awful, we need to reevaluate a little bit more. But like, that's a good cue for yourself to be like, wait a minute, I would never say that to my sister. I would never say that to my best friend. Why am I saying it to me? You're with yourself 24/7. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, even in your dreams, baby, you are there, okay? If you are not happy with that person and if you keep that state of stress and just negativity, it's not going to give you a better, healthier lifestyle. So if you need to go talk to somebody, I'm doing it. So we got accountability there. We're in that boat together, sister. But do what brings you joy. Find ways to de-stress that make you happy. Listen to music that makes you happy. Go if you enjoy reading a good book while sitting on your back porch, do that. Find time to do that and make it so that you can de-stress and give yourself time to yourself, which I did talk about that in a past episode. Real self-care, mindfulness, really good stuff. Okay. So that is what I have for you guys today. Those are some of the tips that have been helpful to me. And like I said, I don't implement all of these every single day. It's difficult to do all of the things, 80-20 lifestyle is what I like to say. 80% of the time, I'm trying really hard to do what I know is going to be beneficial to me in the long run. 20% of the time, let it go. Enjoy. Have that piece of cake. Go out for drinks with your friends and get a little too drunk. Like, do you that 20% of the time, but 80% of that time, be working on your health, your wellness, your mindset, because it's so, so, so important. Especially, like I said, as women, we have all these different hormones. We have all these phases that we go through in our month. And then on top of that, we have a lot of responsibility as women and a lot of tasks and roles that we hold. So we want to be our best for our people and we want to be our best for ourselves. That's what I got. I hope you enjoyed it. Wherever you are listening, on your walk, on your drive, while you're shopping in the grocery, while you're washing dishes, throw that sponge up in the air. And whenever you are listening, morning, night, evening, can't think of any other time of the day, at your lunch break, wherever, whenever. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you gained some kind of knowledge and hopefully some excitement to learn about your body and make improvements in your health and mindset. Okay. Have a wonderful whatever time of day. Love you and talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope you got a little inspiration to start taking steps towards whatever it is you've been wanting to try. If you love this episode, share it on socials and tag me. I'd love to hear how it helped you. And of course, we got to get the word out to the other women who are needing that little extra push like you and I do. Can't wait to talk to you soon.